No matter what anybody says, this Starchild skull may be the key in unlocking the mystery to the grave. Melanie Young is a medical professional who specializes in neonatal care, and she's one of the most qualified people to speak on human physiology. Oh, wow.
Well, this is the normal one that was found.
So this is not the Starchild?
This is not the Starchild, but this is the skull that was found laying next to the Starchild on top of the ground.
Nothing unusual yet?
No.
No.
But this is what's unusual.
My God. So this is the famous Starchild skull.
Yes, it is.
Do you know how old this is?
It's been carbon dated, 900 years old.
Wow.
This 900-year-old artifact was allegedly found in a cave in the Copper Canyon region of Mexico by a woman living in a small village.
The normal skull was laying on top of the ground with the complete skeleton. And coming out of the ground was a deformed hand. And so she dug up the deformed hand and found a complete skeleton.
Where is the skeleton now?
So she picked up both skeletons and took them back to the village, and they had a rainstorm, and everything got washed away. And the very next day, this is all she could find.
How did you come into possession of the skull?
Well, a friend who got it from a friend who was the original owner of it gave it to me due to my expertise in neonatal nursing and anatomy. When I saw it and told them that this is totally out of this world, they were like, take it, don't bring it back.
This is obviously extremely bizarre. Is it possible this is some kind of deformity?
I've never seen anything like it.
How many deformities have you seen, have you witnessed as a nurse?
I've seen every kind of deformity you can think of, and nothing looks like that.
Some people who've looked at the Starchild skull believe that it's a human skull of someone that suffered from hydrocephalia, which is a disease that affects some infants, which causes a misshapen skull.
If it were a hydrocephalic, this would be bulged out, okay? But only one side would be bulged out, or the back would be bulged. It wouldn't be symmetrical like that is.
So a hydrocephalic skull is asymmetrical.
It's asymmetrical.
And this skull is symmetrical.
It's completely symmetrical. If that were a hydrocephalic, the bones would not be connected. There would be no skull.
What other explanation do you have for this skull?
I don't have one. I can't find one. Well, Lloyd Pye is our lead researcher, and he's done a lot of work with hominids. He has so much knowledge on different species and how the humans have evolved. He is the guy to talk to.
We're here today with Lloyd Pye, who has worked as a military intelligence specialist. He has more than 30 years studying cryptozoology. He's the primary expert on the Starchild skull, having researched it for more than a decade.
Why all this interest in it?
I believe that it stands a very good chance of being the smoking gun that everybody's looking for, the holy grail of the field of UFO alien research.
Could you walk us through the main differences between the Starchild skull and a normal human skull?
The eye sockets of a normal human are about 2 inches. Starchild's not even 1. There are no sinuses in here, no upper sinuses at all. And you turn them around, you notice that the chewing muscles that come up through here and spread out to attach your jaw and chew cover quite a wide area here. With the Starchild, it's much reduced, so we have a much smaller, much reduced lower face. And there are fibers woven through the matrix of the bone, which were found under a scanning electron microscope.
Does this skull have any fibers at all?
No skull of any kind of primate that we know of, or any really bone that we know of, has those kind of fibers. They seem to be unique to the Starchild. If you turn around and look on the inside and you feel in here, you feel that ridging of bone that will hold the cerebellum in place. With the Starchild, because it has such expanded brain pressing down that way at such a steep angle, we should have a spreading of the foramen magnum, but we don't. So we have a very different kind of brain in this skull, whatever it is. Now, if you stick your finger in the foramen magnum hole to simulate a neck, right, you see how the human is there, so it'd be like this, but the Starchild's actually balanced like this. So it's kind of like a misshapen golf ball on a tee. It's very different from the human neck in that it's half the size and it's centered up under the head. We've had the DNA of the human tested fully recovered, no problem, normal human being. But in 2003 we found that the DNA of the Starchild was very different. While we could recover its mitochondrial DNA, which comes from its mother, the nuclear DNA which contains the DNA of its mother and its father, we could not recover that, which indicates that there's something very unusual, if not completely different, about the father.
Where is the mitochondrial DNA from?
In all of our cells we have cytoplasm. Floating inside the cytoplasm are little chips. Imagine them as raisins floating in a soup. Those little mitochondria come down from your mother.
Is this the mother of the skull? Is that what we're saying?
We have been able to prove that is not the case for sure. They are not genetically related.
To your knowledge, is there any reason why the nuclear DNA was not recoverable other than the fact that it's not a human father?
If the father had been human, all indications are it should have pulled up very easily with the primers that were used, but it didn't, so we can only conclude that there's something very unusual about the father.
Guys, I think one of the problems to getting answers to this skull is that it's obviously incomplete. I mean, a large portion of it is missing. The entire maxilla and facial structure is gone. I'd like to know if you would mind if we took this to Los Angeles and have a specialist reconstruct this so that we could see what this person or creature looked like when it was alive.
I would be as anxious to see what it would look like as you.
Now these are reproductions, of course, and the reproductions were done by computer, so these are exact reproductions of the real skull.
They are identical. We have a normal and an abnormal skull. We need to check the differences between the two by measuring the volume of the brain capacities. We know that a normal brain is 1,350 to 1,400 cubic centimeters. There's a scientific test to measure brain capacity, and that's simply to fill it up with birdseed. And that's what we're about to do.
Pour some in here?
Pour some in. Alright, that's enough for now.
Here's Pat pouring and pouring and pouring.
It's still going. This is the bottomless skull here.
And he's not stopping. He's keeping on going. Okay, gents, empty your skulls.
$1,250 milliliters. That's a lot of birdseed. I don't think there's more birdseed in that skull.
I don't think you can come to a conclusion until you've finished the experiment, right? That's real science, isn't it?
Very true.
Mr. Science Guy. Okay.
So that's 1,000?
That's 1,000.
Just about.
And the rest is all gravy. Visually, from the outside, the normal human skull actually appears larger. So it's strange that the Starchild skull would be getting so much birdseed in it.
It's more.
Holy mackerel.
There are exactly 200 milliliters more in the Starchild skull.
Now this is a huge difference. We're talking about 15% more brain capacity here, which could completely bulge out a normal skull.
We're at the Cinema Makeup School in Los Angeles, California, where we're meeting with Robert Lindsay, who's a special effects expert. He's going to help us reconstruct the Starchild skull.
I'm a technician. I know about jaws and muscles of the face. This comes with a profession. The lower jaw is missing. The whole front piece is missing. I had to redo all that, reconstruct it. I be as closely as possible to what I think anatomically it would look like. And I add the muscles accordingly, no alien in mind. Sure, you can never be for sure because there are many different variations that are possible.
What do you think about the skull that you're holding?
It's weird.
That's an understatement.
Because it's very symmetrical. And you guys had the hypothesis that this disease...
Hydroencephaly?
Exactly. It's not symmetrical like this, and it looks not like an accident.